If somebody would have told me back in 2006, when I was first diagnosed with my Hashimoto's hypothyroidism and rheumatoid arthritis, that I would find healing naturally through fitness and nutrition, I would have never believed them. But here I am today, living proof that you can live happy and healthy with Hashimoto's, and you can too. I know all too well that having an autoimmune diagnosis can be very overwhelming and you can feel very alone at times. So I'm hoping that by sharing my story with you, that you will find inspiration, hope, and encouragement that you too can be healed of your Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. But before I tell you my story, I want to just introduce myself. My name is Kristen, and I am a wife. I'm a mother of 5 and a grandmother of 2 beautiful granddaughters. I spent 20 years working in corporate America as a CPA. I did audits of employee benefit plans. I left corporate America in 2018 to pursue a passion, which was to help other individuals like myself overcome their Hashimoto's hypothyroidism and learn to get their life back. My autoimmune story began in 2006. At the time, I was 31 years old, and my sons were 6, 3, and under a year. And my life looked like a typical young mother, juggling her career, raising her babies, and managing her household. At that time, due to the circumstances brought on by Hurricane Katrina in the year before, I was working from home as a CPA. And as you can imagine, that was very challenging. That meant that a lot of times I was working at night really late after everyone was in bed. So I was working on very little sleep and a lot of stress, which ended up catching up to me and weakened my immune system, and I got really sick. I ended up getting a virus that never really was properly diagnosed. I started running fever, I had chills, and then I developed this rash from here down. And from a distance, it looked like I was sunburned, and it was made up of a bunch of tiny little red dots. I think the best way I can describe it is, if any of you have children who ever had scarlet fever, which is the rash that goes with strep throat, that's what I looked like. That's what it looked like, that I had scarlet fever. So I knew it was viral in nature, but my husband at the time suggested that I go see his family doctor to get diagnosed and to get treated because it was flu season. We had young kids. So I made the appointment and I went. And when I got there, the doctor really didn't address my symptoms. And he never really diagnosed or tried to figure out what kind of virus I might have. All he was concerned about was me getting the flu shot. Now, I had never had the flu shot, and I'd always heard that you shouldn't get the flu shot if you're not feeling well or if you're sick or if you're running a fever. I ended up giving in to the pressure of the doctor, and I received my one and only flu shot. And 3 days later, I could not lift my arms up higher than like my elbows. I was in the most excruciating pain ever. I couldn't drive my car. I couldn't open a water bottle. I couldn't lift my baby. I was in a massive amount of pain and partial paralysis. I was really scared. I didn't know what was going on. I figured I was having an adverse reaction to the flu shot. So I called my OB because at the time I was still nursing the baby, and I explained to him what happened and what was going on. And he had me come into his office. He checked me out and he said, "Look, it sounds like you might have toxic shock syndrome. So I'm going to go ahead and treat you with a very strong antibiotic." And so he did. And the virus ended up running its course, but I was left with partial paralysis in my upper body as far as not being able to lift my arms. I spent 6 months like that in excruciating pain. So imagine not being able to lift your baby out of his crib without hurting. I had a difficult time bathing him or bathing the other kids. So with the infant, I actually bathed him in the kitchen sink because without the full use of my arms, I was afraid I was going to drop him trying to get him in and out of a tub. I attempted to get treatment from the doctor who had given me the flu vaccine, but he denied treating me because I was nursing my infant at the time. I felt helpless. I felt scared. I didn't know where to turn. But fortunately, God put an amazing young doctor in my path. I met my rheumatologist on the baseball field. Our sons played Little League Baseball together. We both had 3 little boys. We were about the same age. And once she heard my story, she wasted no time in taking me on as a new patient. And she spent the next probably 3 or 4 months running every test she could possibly think of to figure out what was wrong, what was going on with my body. She ran a test to test for lupus, for Lyme disease, fibromyalgia. She ran the complete thyroid panel. She ran blood work to see about rheumatoid arthritis. And finally, at the end of all of these tests, the best diagnosis she could give me was Hashimoto's hypothyroidism and rheumatoid arthritis. What makes Hashimoto's so confusing is that your thyroid antibodies can be elevated even though your thyroid levels can be within normal range. And that's why a lot of times it goes undiagnosed, because doctors will run a basic thyroid panel and they'll see that a patient's thyroid levels are within normal range and they don't go any further. They don't test thyroid antibodies. And so then it will go undetected. So for me, in my situation, that virus that I had that went undiagnosed, mixed with the ingredients in the flu shot, created the perfect storm to jumpstart my rheumatoid arthritis and my Hashimoto's. Let's talk about my healing journey. Fast forward to 2016. At this point, I have lived all of my 30s with 2 autoimmune diseases. So at a time in my life where I should have been enjoying my kids, my day-to-day activities were filled with autoimmune symptoms and flare-ups. I pretty much had every textbook symptom you can imagine. I had brain fog, inflammation, achy joints, depression, low libido, bloat, weight gain, you name it, I had those symptoms. In addition to all of that, I went through some major life changes. I went through a divorce. I was forced to go back to working outside of the home, which I hadn't done in many years. And I was doing so as a single mom with no help from outside family because my family didn't live around me. My mom lived in Texas, and my dad and his family lived in Alabama. So there was financial stress. I ended up having to take a job in corporate America doing something out of my area of expertise, which was out of my comfort zone. And then in the midst of all that, my mother was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. She developed an ocular melanoma. So in the midst of all the things that I'm going through, I found myself having to help her through her own journey. And I would go with her to her appointments at MD Anderson. And a lot of times I would end up packing up all 3 kids, taking them with me, traveling from New Orleans to Texas. And my sisters, or one of my sisters, would watch the kids while I went with mom to her appointments. At the beginning of 2016, my mother passed away after battling cancer for 9 years. At that time, I assumed the role of executor of her estate, and I spent the next year and a half settling her affairs. I don't think I actually adequately grieved her passing because I was always in business mode trying to tie up loose ends. And if you suffer from autoimmune diseases, you know that stress and anxiety play a major role in your symptoms and can cause major flare-ups and make you feel very sick. And in September of 2017, my physical and my mental health hit rock bottom. I was the heaviest I had ever been. My autoimmune symptoms were through the roof. My antibody numbers were off the charts. They were registering at 501, and normal range for a female of my age was -9. At the time, I was working for a local hospital as the accountant for their specialty clinics, and they had just opened up a new endocrinology clinic. So I thought, perfect, I will set an appointment with one of the new endocrinologists. They're young, they should be up to speed on the latest treatments for Hashimoto's, and maybe they'll have the answers I'm looking for. So I set the appointment and I went. And at that appointment, the doctor looked at me and said that he didn't believe in a Hashimoto's diagnosis, and that he wasn't going to put me on medication because my thyroid levels were normal, within normal range, and they were, but that's not unusual for somebody with Hashimoto's. And he said basically he didn't believe in the Hashimoto's diagnosis and that it was probably all in my head. I left that appointment in tears because I was so devastated by the fact that I had gone into that appointment very hopeful that I was going to come out with answers. And instead, I came out with the feeling of, I just want to reset my body. I just want to start over. And on the way home, something just snapped in me and made me decide that I was going to find a way to heal naturally of my Hashimoto's and my rheumatoid arthritis. After I got home, my fiance at the time, who's now my wonderful husband, we sat together and we searched the internet for ways to heal naturally of Hashimoto's. And we came across a book called The Hashimoto's Thyroiditis Healing Diet by Kate Barrington. And we decided we would start with that. So the next day while I was at work, he went and he bought the book. And that was a Friday. By that Sunday evening, I had totally revamped my entire diet and jumped completely into the solutions found in this book. I didn't even read the first couple of chapters of the book. I immediately jumped to the chapter on nutrition and the recipes, and I started there. And that Sunday, I meal prepped for the first time ever. And I totally revamped my life. That book is where my healing began. From that book, I completely revamped my lifestyle. I removed all inflammation-causing foods from my diet. So at that point, I began to eat gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, egg-free, no unnatural or processed sugars, and no mercury, no alcohol. And for the first 3 weeks, I felt pretty miserable because it's just like when you start any diet where you give up things that you're addicted to, you're going to have side effects. So I had a headache. I was moody. I felt sluggish. Basically, I felt like my autoimmune symptoms were exaggerated. I even ran a low-grade fever. But around the 3rd week mark, I remember I was at work one day and I remember thinking, oh, I don't have a headache. And then sometime later, I guess that week, maybe around the 4th week, I realized I had more energy and the scale started to go down. And every week after that, for 6 months, the scale continued to go down. In February of 2018, 6 months after I'd started the healing diet, I had lost 35 pounds. I was able to quit all my medications for my thyroid disease and my rheumatoid arthritis, and my thyroid antibodies had dropped from 501 to 275. But I wasn't done healing. I continued to research ways to heal naturally of my Hashimoto's, and I came across the book Thyroid Healing by medical medium Anthony Williams. In his book, he talks about a 90-day thyroid detox, and so I did that. I jumped all in again, and again, I started to detox, and I felt miserable. But at the end of the detox, I felt the best I had ever felt. I had so much energy. I was working out again. My numbers were crazy low, down to like 175 at this point. My antibodies were down to 175. I was ecstatic with the results because I was successfully healing myself naturally of my Hashimoto's and rheumatoid arthritis. In April of 2018, I left corporate America to become a health and wellness coach. I have built from scratch 2 online programs to help individuals heal naturally through nutrition, fitness, and mindset of their Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I have a 30-day program and a 90-day program. My online programs are designed to help you implement new habits to set the foundation for a long-lasting, healing, and healthy lifestyle. Changing your lifestyle means you're going to have to change your mindset and the way that you look at nutrition and fitness. And changing your habits is not easy to do, especially on your own. You're going to go through 3 different phases in order to change your habits. You're going to go through a destruction phase, which means you're going to break down and break up with old unhealthy habits. You're going to go through a confusion phase, and that is the phase where you are learning new things and learning everything there is to know about this new and healthy healing lifestyle. And then the final phase is going to be integration, where you are automatically living this new and healthy lifestyle. My programs are designed to get you through all 3 phases successfully. In these programs, you are going to go through a guided detox. You're going to receive all the tools and information you need to implement the healing diet, nutrition, and meal plan. You're going to be given advice on fitness that will optimize your thyroid health. In addition, you are going to be guided through the steps necessary to break old, unhealthy habits so that you can change your mindset and embrace a healing and healthy lifestyle. And you're going to be given the option to participate in online group health coaching sessions twice a week. In these health coaching sessions, we are going to discuss various topics for living every day happy and healthy with Hashimoto's. We're going to discuss meal planning and prepping on a budget. We're going to discuss going out to dinner or going on vacation, or how to get your family on board with this healing, healthy lifestyle. So you might be thinking to yourself, I've already tried a similar diet. Well, this is the thing. It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle. And in order to change your lifestyle, you have to change your habits. And sometimes we can't do that on our own. Sometimes we really do need the help of a coach. So if you are ready to take back your life, to gain control of your diagnosis, and to really find healing, then it's time for you to connect with me.